Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another new video. Many people do not have deep knowledge of Islam, and they are the ones who make many arguments against Islam. I request everyone to try to know deeply about Islam. Today we will discuss why Islam allows multiple wives and polygamy. So watch the video till the end, and don't forget to subscribe the channel and share the video with everyone.
My name is Lakshmi. I'm a journalist. Now, the second question is, Muslim men are allowed to marry 4 or 5 times, I think, and they don't require their wife's permission, the first wife's permission to marry, correct me if I'm wrong, to marry more number of times. So I actually don't see any logic in this because I believe it's one man, one woman. That's the institution of marriage. So please clarify. Thank you.
Coming to your second question. In Islam, men marry 4 times, 5 times, and they don't ask permission from the first 5. Why? As far as polygyny is concerned, a man having more than one wife, Islam is the only religion, and Quran is the only religious scripture on the face of the earth which says marry only one. There is no religious scripture besides the Quran. I am a student of comparative religion, which says marry only one. There is no verse in the Bible, no verse in the Bhagavad Gita, no verse in the Veda which says marry only one except the Quran. If you read the Hindu scriptures in Ramayana, the father of Sri Ram, how many wives did he have? How many wives?
More than one?
More than one. 3 wives. Fine. Shri Krishna, according to Mahabharata, how many wives he had?
Unlimited.
Not unlimited. You don't know your scripture well.
No.
Did he have 4 wives? No.
I have no idea.
Not 4, not 100, not 1,000, 16,108 wives. How many wives he had? 16,108. So why can't we Muslims have 4? What's the problem? When Shri Krishna can have 16,108 wives, why can't we have 4? Further, if you read the Vishnu Purana, chapter number 24, verse number 1, it says a Brahmin can have up to 4 wives. If you read the Jewish scriptures, it gives you permission to have as many wives as you wish. If you read the Christian Bible, it gives you permission to have as many wives as you wish. If you read the Bible, Abraham had 3 wives. Solomon, how many wives he had? He had 700 wives. It is later on, the church has put a ban that Christians should marry only one, not the Bible. It is the Jewish community married more than one wife. It was in 1950 that chief rabbi passed a synod that Jews should marry only one. So it is the rabbi, not the Jewish scriptures. And according to Hindu scriptures, you can marry as many as you wish. It is the Indian government in 1954 passed a law called the Hindu Special Marriage Act. Hindu Special Marriage Act, which says Hindus should marry only one. It is not the religious scripture. It is not Bhagavad Gita. It is not Ramayana. It is not Mahabharata. It is not Veda. It is the Indian Penal Code. The Indian government, which has passed a law in 1954 that Hindus should marry only one. But according to the statistics of the status of the women in Islam, if you read the government documents on page number 66-67, it says that Muslims do polygamous marriages. You know what is the percentage in India? 4.3%. How much? In India, 4.3% of the Muslim men do polygamous marriages. The statistics between 1951 to 1961, Hindus, how many? 5.06, 0.7% more than the Muslims in India, according to the Indian government. Even though it is prohibited according to the Indian law, yet they do more polygamous marriages than the Muslims. Why? Now, let's analyze what does the Quran say. Quran says in Surah Nisa, chapter 4, verse number 3, marry women of your choice in 2s, 3s or 4s. But if you can't do justice, marry only one. this statement, marry only one, is only given in the Quran and no other religious scripture. It says, marry a woman of a choice in twos, threes or fours. But if you can't do justice, marry only one. So if you want to marry more than one woman, one of the criteria of the Quran is you should do justice. If you can't do justice, you should marry only one. Now, what are the reasons, logical reasons a person can think that why has Islam permitted certain men to have more than one wife? Many non-Muslims think it is fard, it is compulsory for a Muslim man to have more than one woman, to have more than one wife. It's not compulsory, it's optional. It's not fard, it's not compulsory. Come back to logic now. Now, by nature, if you ask any medical doctor, he will tell you, male and female are born in equal proportion. Girls and boys are born in equal proportion. But any medical doctor, any pediatrician, any children doctor will tell you that the female sex, the female child is stronger than the male child. That's the reason there are more deaths in the male children as compared to female children. So in children's age itself, the female children are much more than the male children. As life goes on, there are people dying due to accidents, due to alcoholism, due to war. There are more males dying as compared to females. Today, if you analyze in the world, there are more females in the world as compared to males. There are few third world countries like India where the male population is more than the female population. If you see the rest of the world, if you see New York alone, there are 1 million females more than males. In USA alone, there are 7.8 million females more than males. In UK alone, there are 4 million females more than males. In Germany alone, there are 5 million females more than males. In Russia alone, there are 9 million females more than males. And God alone knows how many millions of females are more than males throughout the world. So that's the reason in Islam, sister, men have been allowed to marry more than one wife is to protect the woman, not to degrade her.
You see, he had a small joke against the Muslims about polygamy. You see, since Islam allows you to marry four. He didn't quote the verse correctly. He was saying Surah Nisa, verse 3, or something to the effect. The Quran says, marry women of your choice by twos and threes and fours. But if you cannot do justice between them, marry only one. The only religious book, I'm saying the only religious book on the face of the earth, which has this expression, marry only one, is the Quran. There is no other book on earth. And this is a solution to your problem. He has settled down in America. He has married a beautiful young lady, an American woman. Congratulations. But now, wait. The American statistics, they tell us there are 7.8 million more women than men in America. That's almost 8 million more women in your country, sir, the land of your domicile. 8 million women who can't get husbands. If every man in America got married, there'll still be 8 million women who can't get husbands. I'm asking, in this book of God that you are boasting about, what is the solution to your problem?
Restrictions for polygamy. I'm always asked about polygamy, and surely you've had you've been asked about it. Isn't your religion the one that allows polygamy? Ooh, and they're mean about it. They don't ask nicely, they get mean, and they're expecting you're going to get very defensive about this. And what I say is I would much rather have a religion where, as a first wife, I would have to be asked for permission for my husband to take a second wife. And without that permission, it's not going to happen. And that it's only under very restricted circumstances, and the rules about them are so strict that most men would not choose this, because to treat two women exactly equally and justly is so difficult that most men don't choose to do this. But in this society where polygamy is not allowed, what happens? Does that mean men stay faithful their whole marriage? About 50% of marriages end in divorce due to infidelity, primarily on the male's part. So this rules of polygamy actually are a safety net in society, a safety net against what is haram and what would be humiliating to a woman. I can't think of anything more humiliating than being a loyal wife whose husband had a mistress, and you discovered it 10, 15, 20 years later. But this society doesn't allow for any extenuating circumstances, and we end up in haram.
Islam allows polygamy. I heard that Islam allows polygamy. I mean to say multiple marriages. If this is so, is it not a sinful practice against humanity, like deceiving a woman?
Okay, brother. By the way, thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate you being here with us today, and appreciate your question as well. And that's what I invite people to do. When our non-Muslim friends come in, they also have their own questions, and we welcome them asking these questions. And here's what's going on. Islam does allow for polygamy. And polygamy is the practice where a man is allowed to have more than one wife. It is allowed. It's not necessarily something that is recommended all the time or an obligation. For a Muslim is allowed to have more than one wife. And this is such a big problem. Some people, they see it and they say that they just cannot understand it, like the brother here is saying. Let me give you a practical situation where I come from in the US. You know, in the US there are different ethnicities and there are different minorities. Of these ethnicities, there are the African Americans. And these are the black people in the US that were brought in as slaves from America to begin with, being living under slavery for a very long time. We have a social problem within the African American segment in that society. What is that problem? At any given day, pay attention to this one, please. At any given day, one of every 3 African American males between the ages of 18 and 35 is in prison. One of every African American males between the ages of 18 and 35 is in the military. Now remember, these are people who have been living under slavery for such a long time. They have not had the time or the opportunity for them to come back to join society, and has not been facilitated for them as it should have been. What's happening at this point is that the number of African American women is by far exceeding the number of African men. They're either in prison or they are in the military. It has gotten so bad that in some areas, for every one eligible man, there are 8 unmarried women in that community. They refer to this in sociology as sex ratio. The number of men for every 100 eligible women for marriage. And most of the time in humanity we have what we call low sex ratio, meaning that the number, or high sex ratio, meaning that the number of women exceeds the number of men all the time. So now African American sociologists, they got together and they said, we have a social problem. What do we do? Obviously marrying from other minorities is not an option. What do we do? And here's what they came up with. They came up with 3 solutions. They said, look, we live in a capitalistic country. In capitalism, it is about competition. You compete. You win yourself a man, good for you. You do not win a man, tough luck. That's it. End of the story. The other solution was, what we need to do is that we need to redefine what we mean by relationship. And they said, therefore, a woman would have to have a mate for intellectual stimulation. She has to have a mate to drink coffee with, another mate to study with, another mate to socialize with, and somebody else to fill and satisfy her sexual passion. So what they said is that she has got to become a part of so many people. Another group of African American sociologists, they said, wait a minute. From the origins that we come from, our community has been known to be polygamist. What we say is this: I agree with you. There is some sort of evil in this process. However, I am ready to accept any lesser evil that you can provide for this problem. A woman wants to be a mother. Why is she deprived from this? A woman has just lost her husband. Not that a woman cannot live on her own or support herself by her own, but why does she have to suffer the result of losing a companion? So Islam says that there is a solution. It may not be a solution that is favored by all, however, it is a very, very practical solution that is very humane. Instead of a woman being used and abused as a mistress, where he comes at different parts of the night, not wanting to know what he is doing with her. She cannot take pride in being a wife of this man where she is part of his life. Islam says that is not the case. Because you are doing her a favor by satisfying her passion, it does not mean that you dehumanize her. And as a result, Islam has suggested the concept of polygamy. But I will give you a challenge. Bring a better solution and I will follow it.
Thanks for watching the video till the end. Hope you learned something new from the video, and don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe the channel to get more Islamic videos.